Tonight is Cantor Lianna's last service at Temple Beth Shalom before she moves on to a much larger community. So we really do encourage you to join us for this evening's service. Cantor Lianna will be leading us in song, some of the greatest hits, particularly of tunes that she has brought to our community in the last 3 years. She'll be speaking about her experience. I'll be speaking about Cantor Lianna, and Meredith, our temple president, will also be sharing some words. And then there'll be a very large oneg after the service where Cantor Lianna is going to try to spend time with everybody. So please do join us if you're able to for that service this evening. It's a very special service. It's a challenging, difficult service because obviously we don't want to see Cantor Lianna go, and yet at the same time we absolutely want to see her developing herself professionally, moving on to a community whose size she deserves, and so she goes with our blessing. And so this evening's service is a real celebration of her. And this coming Tuesday we also have our Tikkun Leil Shavuot, which is the biggest study session of the entire year. In fact, it's split into a number of sessions, and you're going to be able to join us in person and on Zoom, and the Zoom link is included in this pre-Shabbat message. I've finished writing all the sessions that I'm leading at this Tikkun Leil Shavuot, and I'm really excited by them, genuinely. The first one that I'm leading, starting at 5:30, that's 5:30 on Tuesday the 11th, is called Beyond the Gender Boundary. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at our liturgy and the gendered nature of Hebrew, and what does that mean for people who identify as neither male nor female. Do we move towards non-gendered liturgy? If we do, does that affirm identity, or does that take away, erase identity, for example, from women who have fought for so long to have them be included in our liturgy? It's a really important discussion, and we want as many people from all ages to come and join us for this discussion, because it's going to help inform where we go from here. So that's at 5:30, that's the first session called Beyond the Gender Boundary, looking at Hebrew, and I'll be sharing and teaching. You don't need to know Hebrew. I'll be sharing a wide variety of thoughts on this, and we'll be having a discussion about it. Then we have a vegetarian potluck dinner, and it's really important for those who are staying for dinner that you bring enough food for yourself and for at least one other person. So if you're bringing a family of 4, please bring enough food for 5. We don't necessarily need desserts, we need mains in particular, because the desserts come later. So the vegetarian potluck dinner is at 6:30. Then at 7:30, or around 7:30, I'm going to be leading my second session called 70 Faces of Torah. And this I also found a really interesting session to put together. This is about what does it mean to interpret Jewish law. Some people interpret it quite strictly, some people interpret it quite leniently. And what does it mean for us in the Reform movement? What does halakha, what does law even mean? And what is our relationship to it? It's a really interesting session. For example, there is a commandment, essentially, to not extinguish a fire on Shabbat. It's a rabbinic commandment, or prohibition, that was the word I'm looking for. It's a rabbinic prohibition to put out a fire on Shabbat. But what happens if your house is on fire in a city? Do you put the fire out? Do you break Shabbat? You might have an obvious answer for that. I think we probably share the same answer, but not all commentators do. And so we're going to look at people who've been strict in interpretation and people who've been lenient in interpretation. After that session, around 8:30, we have our cheesecake competition. And we encourage you to bring your own homemade cheesecake. We blind taste test so that we don't know whose it is. We all vote in secret, and then the winner gets a certificate and is lauded as the cheesecake maker of the year. And that cheesecake is really important because it gives us energy, a bit of a sugar rush to keep going into the evening. And so after that, at 9 p.m., student Rabbi Ziva is here, and she's going to be leading a session called Beyond the Boundary of the Self-Help section. She's going to be exploring happiness and what it means to live a better life, particularly through the commentary on Elu Devarim, a passage which comes from the Mishnah Peah, but is also used in our liturgy on Shabbat morning. And then the late night session, which starts at 10, is called All the People Are Holy. That one has the longest handout because who knows until what time we might end. And the idea is that I'll be leading that one, looking at how spirituality and holiness has shifted and what it means for us. And I was fascinated to explore this, because for some holiness is in revealed text, and for others holiness is in revealed nature. And how we view holiness affects our spirituality, affects our religion in general. And so we're going to be exploring all of that. And we encourage you to stay for as long as possible. There are going to be snacks out all evening as well. You can bring younger people as well. It's in person. That's always better if you're able to be with us in person, but it will be on Zoom as well for those who are a little bit further, or for those who are thinking it's going to get late, I'll just turn off my computer when it's too much. So we really encourage you to join us on Tuesday afternoon into the evening. We're starting at 5:30 with Beyond the Gender Boundary. And this is a crucial conversation for our community. We need as many people present as possible to share your thoughts on this. Then the veggie potluck dinner at 6:30. 70 Faces of Torah, looking at interpretation, strictness or leniency, around 7:30. The cheesecake competition at 8:30. Please submit a cheesecake. Very often people who submit their first cheesecake end up winning. So don't think that the competition is going to be too tough. It's fun, and we all get to eat cheesecake, which is great. Then at 9 o'clock, student Rabbi Ziva leads Beyond the Self-Help section. And at 10 until late, we look at spirituality and holiness. I really hope that you'll be able to join us. Shavuot is perhaps my favorite festival of the year, because the idea of Shavuot is that it's a festival commemorating revelation. And we recreate that revelation by sitting and studying together. We explore God's word, we explore the Bible, commentaries, and it's a very exciting evening of study and discussion. And you don't need to know anything in advance. It's all in the handout. So please join us for that, and especially as well, please join us this evening, if you can, in person or online, for Cantor Lianna's farewell celebration service. I wish you Shabbat Shalom.